Hello and welcome to the FAFSA support session. Today we'll be filling out the FAFSA for the 26-27 school year. Hello, my name is Eric Ginsberg and I'm a master tutor at Solution Prep where we do important things like college admissions coaching and SAT and ACT prep, both online and in our centers in East Brunswick, Wall, Little Silver, and Toms River in central New Jersey. Today, we're filling out the FAFSA for first-time FAFSA filers. So if your student is an older college student who's filled out a FAFSA before, this video may not be as useful for you. We are going to be filling it out in a browser, not on a tablet, not on a smartphone. So that's the display you're going to see on my screen. And it's going to help if you put me side by side with the work that you're doing. Let's start by going to studentaid.gov. It looks like this. I'm going to move briskly, but if at any point you need me to slow down, just pause me. I'm a recording. So we're going to do this in 5 steps today. The first step is we're going to create a studentaid.gov account for a parent. And if a parent already has a studentaid.gov account, maybe from going to college themselves 10, 15 years ago, maybe from filling out a FAFSA for an older child in the last few years, then you can skip the first few of this video and catch up to me later. The second step is we're going to create a studentaid.gov account for the student. Every student gets their own. Then we're going to fill out the student side of the FAFSA, then the parent side of the FAFSA, and finally, for those families in New Jersey, we're going to create an account on New Jersey's financial aid website to make you eligible for state aid as well. If you're from a different state, your state may have their own website. I'm from New Jersey, so I focus mostly on things in New Jersey and students from New Jersey. I also have a handout that you can work along with. You can find that in the description to the video below. So that way we can write all over it and have our information to save for future years. So let's go ahead and click on some things. We're going to click on Create Account, and it's going to bring us right over here to Dr. Sharon riding her bicycle from season 2 of Ted Lasso. And then we're going to go ahead and click Get Started. Now you're going to fill in, parents, your name. So your first name, your middle initial is optional, your last name, your date of birth, and your social security number. These have to be correct and they have to match what's on your taxes. I had a parent once whose name was William and he kept putting Billy. It's not going to work. Okay, and if you get your date of birth or social security number wrong, you're going to have to call the Department of Education through their FAFSA hotline and get someone to help you. And we don't want to run into that problem. So go ahead and fill it in correctly, make sure it matches your taxes, and then you can go ahead and click the blue continue button on the bottom. Filling out the FAFSA is pretty easy, but there are a lot of little traps. And if you get stuck, then you need an adult. And I'm just a recording. There's only so much I can help. So let's keep going through. We get to step 2. There are 7 steps here. You're going to create a username that is unique in the history of this website. So if your name is John, I've got news. There are other Johns. Pick a username that no one has ever used before. It can be numbers. It can be letters, no spaces, no special characters. It is not case sensitive. Once you enter a username that you like, click in the email address box and you're either going to get a green check, username is available box, or you're going to get a red X, username is unavailable box. And if you get that red, you're going to want to change the username until it likes it, until it's something that is unique in the history of this website and follows the rules that I've laid out for you. But once you get that green box, you do want to go to your worksheet. And you do want to write down in the top left corner your username. Whatever you think you will remember 1, 2, 3 years from now, I assure you, you will not. It will help you to have this sheet filled out and saved with other important documents like your birth certificate and social security number and wherever you keep those important documents. Okay, next, you're going to enter an email address, but it has to be an email address you have access to check right here, right now in this room, because you're going to get a 6-digit code and you're going to need to retrieve that. So make sure this email address is something you can access immediately, enter it, confirm it, go to your handout, and then write it down. After that, you're going to set a password. Let's discuss the rules of the password. The password must contain an uppercase, a lowercase, and a number, and at least 8 characters. Also, the password cannot contain any part of your name, date of birth, or social security number. So pick a password that follows those rules, confirm the password, and then click the continue button. And one of 2 things will happen. Either it will bring you to step 3. That means it likes your password. And at that point, you should write down your password on your handout. or it won't bring you to step 3, which means it didn't like your password. Please fix your password. Make sure the two match. Make sure they follow the rules laid out. Once we get to step 3, you're going to enter your address, but your address has to match what's on your taxes. So please take out your 1040 and make sure that if your taxes say RD, you don't put ROAD here. Your address has to match. Next, when it comes to your state, it has to be their suggestion for your state. So for instance, if you're typing in New Jersey or your browser is automatically entering NJ for you, that's not going to work. Once you start typing, it will suggest what it thinks is your state. You have to click their option or it won't let you move on and it won't tell you why. Once you've entered your address, you're going to put in your mobile phone number. And again, it has to be one you have access to check right here, right now in this room, because you're going to receive a 6-digit code that you'll have to retrieve and enter into the website to confirm. Once you put in your phone number, please go to your handout and please write down your phone number. I know you're thinking, you're not going to forget your phone number. Yes, but in future years, you might not be the person doing this, and having the sheet of paper can be very helpful. We don't need an alternate phone number at this time. Our focus is just getting you done. So don't worry about that. Go ahead and click continue when you're ready. And it'll bring us to step 4. Now, step 4 is only if A, you want junk mail. I don't think you do, or B, you need this in a different language. And if you do, step 4 is a really rude time for them to first ask that question. Also, if you do need this in a different language, I'm sorry, I will be providing this entire presentation in English. So if you're good with English, nothing you need to do on this page, go ahead and click continue. And then it brings us to step 5. Step 5 is the challenge questions. You're going to set 4 challenge questions. So for each question, you click the drop down and they give you a whole bunch of options. And you're going to choose over the course of this page 4 questions that you definitely know the answers to. Let's talk about some rules and some strategies. First of all, the answers are not case sensitive. You may use spaces and punctuation, but I don't encourage it. I would encourage you to choose answers that work as single word answers, color of your first car and city where you were born. Those things can be great for one word answers, but whatever you put, make sure that you write down not just the questions, but also the answers right here on your handout, because you will need these forever. So one at a time, go through these. It doesn't like answers that are shorter than 4 characters. So if father's middle name is Ian, pick a different question. Also, you can't use the same answer twice. So if the city you were born in and the city where your parents met is the same city, it's not going to like that. Pick a different question. So pause me if you need to. Take your time, figure out your 4 questions, your 4 answers. Make sure to write down question 1, answer 1, question 2, answer 2, all the way down the handout, and then we're going to continue. In step 6, all we have to do is look it over and make sure that looks right. And if it does, you can scroll to the bottom, check the box, and continue. In step 7, we're going to verify you. So go ahead and click verify on your cell phone, and you're going to get a text message very quickly with a 6-digit code. You're going to get a little pop-up. You can enter that code right here and then hit continue. Then we'll do the same thing for your email. Click verify. The email can take a minute or 2 or 3, so please be patient. Make sure this is an email address that can receive emails. So if it's like a work email, it may be blocking outside emails, or a government email may be blocking outside emails. You may find it in your spam, in your junk, in your promotions, but usually it will come pretty quickly in about 1 to 2 minutes. If it doesn't, you can always click the button to resend the code, but let's not rush on that unless we absolutely need to. Once you click that button, you're going to get another pop-up box. And once you get the email, you're going to put the 6-digit code right here in the box, and then you'll continue. And once you've completed both of those, you'll have 2 green checks. You'll be double verified. Now, we don't need to use an authenticator app today. Again, we're focused on getting you done. There are all kinds of bells and whistles you can play around with some other time. But right now, let's get your FAFSA filled out and submitted. Go ahead and click continue at the bottom, and then it's going to give you your backup code. So please make sure that you very carefully write down the backup code right here at the bottom of your handout. You'll only need it for the rest of your life. Once you have that backup code written down, You can check, I have stored this backup code somewhere safe, and then you can click continue, at which point you've completed the first of 5 steps today. You've created a parent account. I mean, it's an account, it's just for the parent. There's no difference between a student account and a parent account. An account is an account, but this account is for the parent. Okay, let's do it again. This time, we're going to do it for the student. So in the top right corner, click Create Account. And again, it brings us back to Dr. Sharon. And again, we're going to click Get Started. So you're going to fill in your student's information. First name, middle initial, last name, date of birth, and social. It has to match. Once you've filled that in, you can go ahead and click Continue. And then it's going to ask you to create a username. Now, this is going to be your student's username for the rest of their lives. So, 30, 40 years from now, when they're filling out a FAFSA for their kids, it's going to be the same username. So let's not pick something embarrassing. Once you get that green check, username is available box, please write down the student's username in the top right corner of your handout. Then you're going to enter an email address, but it has to be an email address you have access to check right here, right now in this room. So if your student isn't here with you, don't use their email address. You don't have access to their email, or maybe you do. I don't know your situation, but it can't be the same email address that you already used for your account. One account per email address. So you can use your work email, you can use your spouse's email, you can use your student's email if they're here. But if you do use an email that isn't theirs, don't worry. In 1 to 3 days, once this all processes, you can log back into the student account and you can make changes, including updating the email address to something they'd rather have more permanently. Also, I don't recommend using your student's school email address. And that's because next year they'll be in college. They won't have access to the email address from their high school. That's going to be closed down. So again, you can access it right here, right now in this room. You can change it later if you need to, and not something that's not going to exist next year. Whatever you do use, please write it down on the handout. If this is not going to be the permanent email address, you can write it in pencil. You can always erase it later. Then you're going to enter a password, and the password must contain an uppercase, a lowercase, a number. I strongly encourage you to put a special character this time, and that's because in step 5 today, when we create the New Jersey account, we're going to need a special character in that password. So if we use one now, we're going to be good to go later, and we don't need to make separate login credentials. So again, uppercase, lowercase, number, special character, 8 characters minimum, and it cannot contain your student's name, date of birth, or social security number. Once you've entered and confirmed that password, click continue. And if it brings you to step 3, you know it likes the password, and then you can write the password down right here on the handout. If it doesn't bring you to step 3, it wants you to change the password before it will let you move on. When you get to step 3, if your student had their own taxes last year, so for the 26-27 school year, that's going to be the 2024 taxes. If they filed their own 1040, not just they were listed on a parent's as a dependent, but they had their own, you have to make sure the address matches what's on their taxes. So again, if their taxes say RD, you can't put ROAD here. Also, again, the state has to be the one the website recommends. So when you start typing New Jersey, go ahead and click on their parentheses NJ New Jersey. That's the option that they want. Now, when we get to mobile phone, if your student is not here with you, do not enter their mobile phone. And that's because they're going to get a text message and you're not going to be able to get it because they're out in teenage land doing teenage things. Obviously, if they're next to you or if they're in the next room and you can say, hey, what's that text message? Not a problem. Put their cell phone number. But if they're not here with you, you don't have to answer this question. It's optional. You can just skip it for now. And again, in 1 to 3 days, you can log back in with your student and add their cell phone number then. But right now we're focused on getting done. So not only do we not need an alternate phone number, we also don't need your student's mobile number if they're not in the proximity of you right now. Then we can click continue. We get to step 4, which is again, the nothing step. Go to the bottom, click continue unless you need junk mail or a different language. Then we get to step 5 again. And this time we're answering questions for the student. So if you're doing this without your student next to you, please be careful that you're choosing questions and answers your student will know the answer to. So, color of their first car is great. What city did your parents meet? Not great if your student doesn't know that fact about you. Again, it doesn't like answers shorter than 4 characters. It doesn't like the same answer twice. The answers are not case sensitive. You may use spaces and punctuation, but I would encourage you to figure out questions where the answers don't require that. I have seen parents really wrestle with what is our student going to know? Oh, mascot of their high school, of course, bear. And the other parent says, no, it's bears. And they try to negotiate, which one should we put? If you don't know, your student's not going to know. So please pick something they will definitely know and get right. Whatever you put here, make sure to write it down right here on the handout. That way, in a year and 2 and 3 and 30 years from now, your student will have access to this. Pause me if you need to, but when you're done putting in all 4 questions, all 4 answers in the website on your handout, you can click continue. Step 6 just means look it over. Does this look right? If so, check that you agree and continue. Then we'll get to step 7. This time you might not have a cell phone to verify if you didn't include the student's cell phone. That's fine. Just go ahead and click the verify on the email if that's the only one that you have. If you have both, you will have to verify both. The email, again, can take 1 to 3 minutes, though text messages are a lot faster. Enter the number. If for some reason that email doesn't come, figure out why. You might need to resend the code, but more likely it may be in your junk, your spam, or your promotions folder. Once you have that code, click continue. You're verified. You can click continue at the bottom. We do not need to use an authenticator app right now. You can always come back some other time and play with that, but right now, let's get the FAFSA filled out. Click continue, you're going to get a backup code. That's going to be your student's backup code for the rest of their lives. So let's make sure to write it down in the bottom right corner of the handout. Now, once you have your handout completely filled out, I would encourage you to pause where you are, take a picture of it, email it to yourself, save it to your computer, favorite it on your phone, store the sheet of paper somewhere safe later, but right now keep it out because we're going to need it for the rest of this discussion. But this way, in 1, 2, and 3 years from now, when you're filling out future years of FAFSA, 30 plus years from now, when your kids are filling this out for their teenage children, you're going to have this sheet of paper somewhere that you can access. But if you can't access it, that's what the security questions are for. Okay, all right. So we're going to come back to this handout in a bit. Let's go ahead and check that I have stored this backup code somewhere safe. Click continue. And then it says your account was successfully created, and we've completed the second step of 5 for today's FAFSA support session. Feeling pretty good. Let's keep moving. In the top left corner, you're going to click FAFSA form, and it's going to give you a drop-down from which you're going to select the first option, complete the FAFSA form. And once you click that, it's going to bring you to FAFSA.gov, or at least the long URL that if you go to FAFSA.gov, that's the shortcut to this page. Now, I'm going to show you 3 buttons right now, but we're going to click the blue one in a moment. The left one is Start New FAFSA Form. That's what we're going to do. The middle option is Edit an existing form. So if after today you submit the FAFSA, but you realized, oh no, you made a mistake, you can always come back here and click that button to make changes and send those changes, those updates to the colleges on your list. And on the right side, you'll see a button to accept an invitation for a 2627 FAFSA form. We probably won't need that button because there's an easier way to get there, but if you do wind up back here at FAFSA.gov, that's a good button to click. But right now, we're going to click the blue button on the left. Blue buttons are our friends. Most of what we're going to click today are blue buttons. Now we're going to log in as the student. That's the fastest way to get this done. So put in the student's confirmed email or the student's username and click continue. Enter the student's password. This stuff is on your handout. That's why we wrote it all down. And click log in. At this point, you're going to have to verify, but it'll be either the cell phone or the email. You don't have to do both. If you only have the one option of email, that's totally fine. But go ahead and click send code. If you have the cell phone, that's going to be faster. But if not, the email works just fine. You will need to do this every single time that you log into this website. So go ahead, get that code, enter it right here, click submit, click continue, click accept, scroll down, check that you agree, Click continue, and then it's going to bring us to the balloons. There are two things we like today, balloons and bikes. When we get to either of those, it means we're making great progress and we're going to celebrate those small victories. And again, if I ever move too fast for you, you can just pause me, you can rewind me, you can slow me down. I will sound like this. It's very funny. But now we're going, because we've logged in as the student, we're going to select student on the left. And we're going to click the blue continue button. Mine has a little cycle because I took a screenshot at a weird time. In case you're wondering why my screen keeps jumping around, these are all screenshots that I've done from helping hundreds of families fill out their FAFSAs. And I tried to make it perfect, but there was no way to make it perfect. And eventually I decided, you know what? It's going to work. So let's just get it done. Same as I told you before, we're focused on getting this done, not making it perfect. Okay. Now we're going to have 4 steps here. And these 4 steps are information about filling out a FAFSA. Now, I'm here to guide you through these things, so hopefully you won't need the information, but you can certainly take your time to read it if you'd like. I'm going to hit continue on step 1, continue on step 2, continue on step 3, but when I get to step 4, I want to show you something. On the left-hand side, it says your form will be processed in 1 to 3 days. What does that mean? It means in 1 to 3 days, the email account associated with the student will receive an email confirming your FAFSA has been processed. That means the information was sent to the colleges that we're going to list today. It doesn't mean someone at the college has gotten up to your student's file and looked at it. So don't be surprised if on the websites where your student has an account because they've submitted their application and now they have a login for those colleges, it says they haven't received your FAFSA, even if you got the email confirming it has been sent. Give it a little bit of time. I recommend 15 days. If after that, the college still reports they have not received it, you can, of course, follow up and say, hey, guys, I included you on my FAFSA. I got this confirmation. What's the deal? And they should be able to help you fix it. That said, I think 15 days is going to solve most of your problems, and you're not going to run into that as an issue. Okay, so now we can go ahead, scroll to the bottom, click the blue button, start FAFSA form. Then it's going to have all of your students' information because it comes from their account. And as long as it looks good to you, scroll down, click the blue button, and it's going to ask, since when have they been a legal resident of their state? So if they were born in their state, if they've lived in their state their whole lives, you can just put the month and year they were born. But if they've moved and come back, the most recent time they came back. Now, for New Jersey, I can tell you all that matters is that you've lived here for at least 12 months. So if you can't recall, was it 2012 or 2013? Was it June or was it July? It doesn't matter. Give it your best recollection and don't sweat it. If you can't recall if it was 11 months ago or 13 months ago, that may be a problem. So let's make sure we get this as close to right as you can, and then click the blue continue button. Now we're going to provide your consent so that the IRS can send your information to the FAFSA. This way we can get out of here a lot faster. Scroll to the bottom and click the approve button. At this point, it's going to think, and you're either going to get a yellow box, sorry, data could not be retrieved, or a green box, success, we've confirmed your information. Either way, we can move forward. Don't give up. Whatever box you get, we're going to click continue, but a green box just means they will be able to pull data from the IRS for your student. Now we get to student personal circumstances. Let's go ahead and hit continue. And it's going to ask your student's current marital status. And I think for most of you, your students are single, never married, but put whatever's truthful for the student and click continue. Again, because we're filling out a FAFSA today for a 12th grader heading off to college, you're going to select this is going to be their first year, freshman year of college, and no, they will not already have a bachelor's degree when they begin college in the fall. Now read these carefully. For most students, if they live safe at home with a parent or two, the answer is going to be at the bottom, none of these apply. But if your student is enlisted in the military or a veteran, if your student fits any of these criteria, including they're an orphan, a ward of the court, in foster care, an emancipated minor, whatever the situation is, check the appropriate box for your student and then click continue. It's going to ask if your student is homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. Answer truthfully and then continue. It's going to ask if your student has experienced any of these unusual circumstances. So for most of you, the answer will be no. but it includes students who left home due to an abusive or threatening environment, are abandoned by or estranged from their parents, have refugee or asylee status, are a victim of human trafficking, are incarcerated, or the parents are incarcerated, or the student is otherwise unable to contact or locate their parents. So again, if the student lives safe at home with one or two parents, the answer is no, but if you fit any of these unusual circumstances, you'll click yes, and then you'll click continue. Now it's going to ask about your dependency status. And based on your earlier questions, answers, it's going to answer this one for you. Whatever it puts is correct. If your student is a dependent, it's going to say no. If your student is independent, it's going to say yes. But leave it the way it is and click continue. Now we're going to answer questions about your student demographics. And moving forward, I'm going to make the assumption that your student is a dependent student because that is what most 12th grade students are. If they're not, things may get a little weird throughout this video, but try to stay with me. For most of you, this is going to keep working out just fine. So we'll go ahead and click continue. And then you're going to answer whether your student is male or female. This year, the FAFSA removed the non-binary and I prefer not to answer option. So you have only these two options to select. Select what's closest to true, and then continue. Then it's going to ask about your student's race or ethnicity. And you can still choose prefer not to answer, or you can click any of the other boxes. It will not impact your student's financial aid at all. In fact, colleges will only receive this information once your student has already enrolled, and they only use it for demographic purposes for reporting to the government and posting on their website of who goes to their school. If you select one of the options above prefer not to answer, it may give you more options. These are optional. You can choose to answer them, or you can just skip it. Once you click continue, it's going to ask about student citizenship status. If your student is a U.S. citizen, you'll pick the first answer. If your student has a green card and a social security number, you're going to select the first answer. If your student is a permanent resident with a permanent resident card that has an A number on it, you're going to select eligible non-citizen. If your student is not a citizen, does not have a green card with a social security number, does not have a permanent resident card, then your student is neither a U.S. citizen nor an eligible non-citizen, and you will not be able to complete the FAFSA. However, if your student fits that criteria and they live in New Jersey, they can still go to New Jersey's financial aid website, hesaa.org, and fill out the New Jersey Alternative Financial Aid application. That will make them eligible for New Jersey benefits, and it will also satisfy the high school graduation requirement for filling out a FAFSA to fill that out instead. I'm going to assume that your student fits one of the first two criteria and continue moving. Let's click continue. All right, so if one or both parents has a bachelor's degree or higher, select the third option. If neither parent has a bachelor's degree, but one or both parents has an associate's degree or just some college credits that don't add up to a degree, you'll select the second option. If neither parent has a single college credit to their name, you will select the first option. If you've been in an accident and have suffered head trauma and do not recall, you will select don't know. Hopefully that is not the case. And then click continue. Were either parents killed in the line of duty on or after the events of 9/11 or performing official duties as a public safety officer? Answer truthfully and continue. When your student begins college, they will have, I hope, a high school diploma. But if they have any of these other options, select what's appropriate and then click continue. If your student is not in 12th grade right now, but will be taking college classes next year. Maybe your student is in 10th grade or 11th grade, and they're going to be doing dual enrollment classes through their school, and you might qualify to get some of those fees waived. You can still fill this out. They would just not have a high school diploma. Either way, we're going to go ahead and hit continue. Now it's asking about your school. So put in your state, and again, you have to select their version of your state. So in this case, it's not NJ New Jersey, it's New Jersey NJ. They switched it around on us. Start typing, select their option. You're going to type in the city. Some schools are not in the city where you would think. So make sure to look up their mailing address if it's not what you are expecting. So for instance, I'm in Central Jersey. I can tell you Ocean Township High School is in Oakhurst. South Brunswick High School is in Monmouth Junction. There are all different things here. So let's be careful. Let's get it right. When you start typing in the high school name, it's going to suggest one, and it's probably going to be the right one. You're going to click it. You're going to click the radio button. You're going to click continue, and now it's got your high school. Now it's going to ask about student finances. Go ahead and hit continue, and let's talk about it. If you have a yellow box, you may have to fill in information from your student's 1040. Go ahead and hit continue. It's going to ask if your student filled out a 1040 last year. And if you say no, it's going to ask, did they fill one out in a different country? And then you'll click continue. Now, for most of you, it's going to skip these questions. For a small handful of you who got the yellow box and your student did fill out taxes, I'm going to talk you through this. If you see different questions on your screen, that's okay. I'm going to catch up to you. You can either be patient or just fast forward a little bit until I catch up to the screen you have in front of you. I'm going to talk through this, though, for families who need it. So take out your student's 1040, their own 1040. And if they don't have their own 1040, then you answered the prior question incorrectly when you said yes, they filled out their own taxes. If you said no, you're not going to get this screen. So if you said yes, they filled out their own taxes and you got the yellow box, let's get moving. Take a look at line 1Z. You're going to put that number right here. We're not done yet, though, because it's possible we have to add from Schedule 1, lines 3 and 6. Highly unlikely. So if you're looking at your student's 1040, it's a 2-page document that may have some attachments called schedule. Schedule 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. So flip through a couple pages, look in the top left corner of that 1040 and see if they have a Schedule 1. If they don't, you're good as is. If they do have a Schedule 1, see if there's a number in boxes 3 or 6. And if so, add those to this number and put that updated number here in this box. For most of us, it's just going to be what's in line 1Z from the 1040. Then it's going to be on your 1040, what's in line 2A for the student's 1040. What's 4A minus 4B? Most likely 0, because your student is probably not receiving IRA distributions. What's 5A minus 5B? Most likely 0, because your student is not receiving any kind of pension. If anything is blank, put 0. This will not let you leave anything blank. So if it's blank on the taxes, put 0. Then it's going to ask what's in line 11. That's the adjusted gross income. Then it's going to ask what's in line 24. That's how much they paid in taxes. Then if they have a Schedule 1, you'll have to add lines 16 and 20. If they don't have a Schedule 1, or if those two lines are blank, you'll put 0 here. Finally, we catch up to the rest of you. It may ask about a schedule A, B, C, D, E, F, or H. It says parent on my screen. It's a copy and paste. You probably don't have that question, but now I'm probably where most of you are. Okay, are we ready? They want to know how much the student received in college grants, scholarships, or AmeriCorps benefits last year. And if your student is in 12th grade now and did not attend college last year, it's going to be 0. If the student worked in a different country last year, look at their Schedule 1 and put the number from line 8D. But if they did not work in a different country last year, this answer is 0. And then we can go ahead and click continue. Now we're up to student assets. Some of you may have been waiting for us here. Let's break it down. And if you take a look at your handout, on the backhand side, or the second page if you're not using duplex printing, there's information about what does and does not count about assets. I'm going to explain it, but stay with me. So for the first box, it's going to be liquid money. Money that your student has in a bank account, a checking account, a savings account, cash hidden under the hidden under the bed or in the cookie jar, under the cookie jar. Nobody hides cash there. That's ridiculous. It's going to include custodial accounts. You're the custodian, but it's their money. It's going to include minor accounts. They're the minor. It's their money. We're not going to include joint bank accounts. I don't like joint accounts because then the question becomes whose money is whose. And if your child has a card attached to your account or they're able to sign on your account is your account. That's not theirs. We're not going to count that here. We're going to include, again, your student savings account, checking account, cash in the home. We're going to include their Venmo, their PayPal, their Cash App, their FanDuel account. We're going to include their high yield savings account. That's a savings account. We're going to include their settlement account that's not reinvested. All of those are liquid money. If I didn't list it here, don't count it here. Once you total it up, take off the cents because 0.00 is already provided, round it to the nearest dollar, and put that amount here. Pause me if you need to figure this stuff out. I'm going to keep moving. Next, we're going to figure out your students' investments and real estate. If your student owns real estate, we're going to have to figure out what it's worth if you were to sell it, minus any liabilities like a mortgage, times their percent ownership if there are multiple owners. But for most of you, your student doesn't have any real estate, so you're not going to count anything. Other investments that do count include any UTMA accounts, UGMA accounts, UNIF. Those are all custodial investment accounts. We're going to count those here, whether you have it for your kids or grandparents have it for your kids. It belongs to your kids. So that includes stocks, bonds, CDs, money market accounts, ETFs, mutual funds, cryptocurrency, commodities, all of that gets totaled up here. We don't count any 529 plans for the child. That's not the student's asset. We'll get to 529 plans later. And we're not going to count any retirement investments. So if your student has an IRA, we're not going to count that here. Go ahead and put the total of the student's investments in this box. If you need some time to figure it out, you can pause me. I'm going to keep moving. And finally, the last one. If your student owns a business with more than 100 employees, then you're going to put the value of that business here. If your student has an investment farm, you're going to put their equity in that here. So again, what's it worth if they were to sell it, minus what do they owe on it, times their percent. But if your student doesn't have a business with more than 100 employees, doesn't have an investment farm, you can just put 0 right here and continue. Now we're up to selecting schools. So that's colleges and career schools. Click continue. And here's how it's going to work. You're going to put the state, and then you're going to skip the city. And the reason you're going to skip the city is some colleges are not located where you would think. For instance, University of Miami is not in the city of Miami. It's in Coral Gables. They just fixed Rutgers this year and put it in New Brunswick because for years it's been in Piscataway. But do you want to know where Rutgers Newark is? What city Rutgers Newark is located in? On the FAFSA, it's in New Brunswick because there's only one Rutgers. So I would encourage you to skip the city, enter the name of the college, click the search button, and then you will get options. And when you see the option that you want to select, you will click plus select. If for any reason you get multiple options in the same city and you don't know which one, you can just Google the college's federal school code, and you'll find it pretty fast. You should definitely make sure you get the one from the school's website. And if you are absolutely befuddled, you can call the school's financial aid department and ask, what is your federal school code for undergraduate studies? Make sure that you're not picking, med school, law school, dental school if your student is going in for undergraduate studies for their first bachelor's degree. But once you click plus select, it's going to change to check selected, and you're going to get a little green bar that says one of 20 colleges has been added. And that's great news. You can add up to 20 colleges today. If you need to add more than 20 colleges, the directions are right here on the handout. You're going to list every college today that your student has applied to, every college that your student will apply to, even if they've not yet submitted their application for admission, and every college your student might apply to, even if they haven't decided for sure they're going to apply there, even if you haven't convinced them that they definitely should, you're going to include all of those colleges. And if that exceeds 20, first of all, I don't recommend you apply to more than 20 colleges. But once this processes in 1 to 3 days, your student can then log back into their account, remove schools, add more schools, up to 20 at a time. When they hit submit, all the new schools will get the information in 1 to 3 days. All the old schools you removed will still have the information that you sent. So they're not going to lose it because you removed them. No worries there. When you submit your FAFSA, it's going to create a little stamp of the day and time when it was submitted, not when the college receives it, not when they process it, when you submitted it. And that's going to save your spot in line. So some of the money for college is first come, first serve, and you want to put the colleges you care the most about on today's FAFSA if you have more than 20, and come back another day to do the ones you care less about where you may be further back in line because it took you an extra few days to get that submitted. Do not click continue. Just keep changing the school name within the same state. Keep changing the state name for different states' schools. But once you have your entire list, you have every school you intend to add, then you can click continue. It will show you your list of colleges. And as long as it's the right number and it's the right schools, you can click next to check the next page. But if it's all good, you can click continue. And we are almost done with step 3, the student side of the FAFSA. Go ahead and invite a parent as a contributor, click continue, and you're going to enter the email address that you used for the parent on this side of your handout. So make sure it's correct. Once you click that send invite, it's going to say, you sure you want to send an invite to this email address? You're going to click send invite. It's going to say, okay, we sent it, but wait, stop. Don't go to your email. Don't touch your email. The mistake families make is they open up their phone, they click on the button, and now they just use their one-time code and they're stuck doing the rest of the FAFSA on their phone. Don't do that. Stay right here. If you've mistakenly done that, you can always remove the invited contributor and then re-add them and a new code will be issued. But for now, just stay on the website. Once you get to the screen, click continue, and we get to the bikes. What did I tell you? Balloons and bikes are our 2 moments for celebration. So if you have the bikes, you can scroll down to the bottom and you'll see an invite code. It's really hard to read. It's like gray on gray. You may need to zoom in, but on the back side of your handout, you want to write down this one-time code that you're going to need in just a few minutes. And once you write down this 7-character code of numbers and letters, you can then click continue, and it's going to bring us to sign and complete your section. Now, if the student is sitting here, the student can check the box, the student can click sign. If the student is not here, the parent can check the box and click sign. If they want to commit a felony, I would never rat you out. Plus, I'm a recording. How would I even know? But once we click sign, we get to the balloons. Now, if right now you're thinking, I'm not sure that I'm ready to click sign and submit because I need to double check some of my students' assets or confirm the list of colleges of my student, that's okay. You can get as far as this screen and every step I'm going to show you will still be the same. The only difference is when you are ready to come back, you'll have to log in as the student. Click the 2627 FAFSA form from their dashboard at studentaid.gov, and then click the yellow sign and submit button, sign the FAFSA form button. But for the rest of us, we get to balloons and we are ready to move on to step 4. So please, in the top right corner where it says your student's name, click your student's name. From the drop-down, it's going to ask you to log out. And when you click it, your browser may say, wait, are you sure? Information may not be saved. It is. Don't worry. You can leave with confidence. And it brings us back to the login screen. Now we're going to log in as the parent. So again, we're going to use the parent's credentials from our handout right over here. The parent's email address, username, or confirmed phone number. Continue. The parent's password. Continue. Then you can choose either one. I suggest the SMS verification because it's fastest. You're going to get that code real fast. You're going to enter it. You're going to submit. You're going to accept. You're going to scroll down. You're going to check you agree. You're going to click continue. It's going to say thank you. And then you're going to click close. Now we're on the dashboard. And we're going to click in the top left corner, FAFSA form. And from the drop down, you're going to choose accept contributor invite. That's the option. If for some reason you didn't wind up here, you are logged in, your name's in the top right corner, but you don't know how to find that, you can type in fafsa.gov and you can click accept an invitation on the right-hand side. Either one is going to bring us to this screen where it's asking for the invitation code that you wrote down on the back side of your handout. So please get that code, type it in here, and then submit. Now it's going to say, are you sure? And yes, of course, hit accept, blue buttons. We're back to the 4 steps of instruction, but we've already read this stuff earlier if we needed to. So click continue, 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 and then the blue button at the bottom says start FAFSA form. At this point, it should have the parent information. And if this looks good to you, scroll down and click continue. Then it brings us to provide consent and approval. Now, you can take all the time in the world to read all this, but I've seen multiple lawyers and even a judge just scroll to the bottom and click approve. Take your time, pause me if you need to. I'll meet you on the other side. Now we're either going to get a yellow box sorry or a green box success. Either way, we will be able to move on, but if you got the yellow box sorry, you will have to manually enter information from your tax form, your 1040. For those of you with a green box, it's going to skip a lot of those questions. It's going to pull the information directly from the IRS on their own time in the next 1 to 3 days. Don't you worry about it. Click continue, and then it asks about parent demographics. Continue. So please answer truthfully if you are single, never married, unmarried, but both legal parents live together, married, not separated, meaning you live in the same address, remarried, separated, meaning you live in separate addresses, or divorced or widowed. Now, if you are more than one of these things, check the most recent one that you are. For instance, if you are divorced and remarried, you'll select remarried. If you are widowed and remarried, you will select remarried. Okay? And then we'll go ahead and click continue. Then it's going to ask, since when have you lived in New Jersey? So if you were born, or whatever state you put. If you were born here, lived here your whole life, just put the month and year you were born. If you left and came back, the most recent time you came back. If you moved here some other time and you can't quite recall if it was 2012 or 2013, June or July, just put your best estimation. As long as it's more than 1 year ago, you will be fine. Then go ahead and click continue. Now, if it brings you the yellow box, we're just going to fill out things manually. If it gives you no yellow box, it's going to skip some of the questions that I'm going to show you, and you might see different screens than I have, but don't worry, I will catch up to you, or you can just fast forward me until I get there. So it's going to ask if you got the earned income credit. Take out your 1040, go to the second page, go to line 27. If there is a number there, you will click that you received the earned income credit. If there is no number there in line 27 of your 1040, you did not receive the earned income credit. It's going to ask if you receive federal housing assistance, free or reduced price school lunch, Medicaid, QHP, SNAP, SSI, not SSDI, TANF, WIC. If you or anyone in your household received any of these benefits in 24 or 25, you will check the appropriate box or boxes, and because you have already been approved for these need-tested federal benefits, later when we get to parent assets, it's going to skip that for you and bring you right to future questions or the bikes. Again, this is dynamic. Based on questions you answer, it will decide what other questions to ask you. If you received none of these, you will click none of these apply. Either way, click what's truthful and then continue. Now, did you file your taxes with your spouse? It may ask you this, it may not. If you put divorced, widowed, single, separated, it will not ask you this. But answer truthfully if it does and click continue. It may ask how you filed your taxes, single, head of household, married jointly, married separately. It may not ask that question. If you don't see this, don't worry. Then it's going to ask about your family size. Will your family size be different in the 26-27 school year than it was in the 2024 tax year? Why might a family size change? Birth, death, marriage, divorce. The older child who was claimed on the taxes last year will not be claimed next year because they're grown, they're enlisted in the military, they're married, they're going to turn 24 between July 1st and June 30th of next school year. So if you have any of those reasons, you would say, yes, my family size will be changing. But if none of those apply to you, you will say no. If you do say yes, it will ask you, other than the parent or parents, other than this student, what other children, dependents, will be in your household next year? And then you will put whatever is truthful. Should say 25, so 26, 27. Sorry, old slide. Okay, then it's going to ask the number of students in college next year. If this is your oldest, if this is your only, the answer is 1. If they'll be joining other older siblings in college next year, you will answer this truthfully. We are going to include graduate school if the student in graduate school will still be your dependent next year. Now, it's probably going to skip these questions for you. It will only have these questions if you got the yellow box and filed taxes. So for those of you who don't have this, bear with me. I'm going to catch up to you shortly. If you're at questions about scholarships, grants, AmeriCorps benefits, parent assets, you can just fast forward the video until I catch up to you. For those of you with the yellow box, I'm going to go through one piece at a time. The first question is line 1Z from your 1040 plus if you have a schedule 1. Look in the top left corner of your 1040, flip the pages, see if you have a schedule 1. If you have a schedule 2, 3, A, B, but not a 1, they're always in order 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. All right, so if you have a schedule 1, if there's anything in line 3, anything in line 6, add those numbers to what's in line 1Z from your 1040. And then put that total number here. Okay, go to the first page of your 1040. If you have anything in line 2A, you'll put it here. If there's nothing, put 0. Look at lines 4A and 4B and subtract. If you have anything there, subtract, put the number here. If not, put 0. Same thing, 5A minus 5B. If there's no numbers, put 0. Otherwise, put the difference between those two numbers. Then line 11 is your adjusted gross income. Put that number here. Line 24 is on the second page. That's how much taxes you paid. Try not to cry when you see that number. If you have a schedule 1, add lines 16 and 20 and put that total here. If both boxes are blank, put 0. If you don't have a schedule 1, put 0. If you have a schedule 3, look in line 3. Also, go to your 1040 and look in line 29. Add those two numbers, put it here. You probably don't have anything if this is your first student going through college. But this is tax credits. It's going to ask, did you fill out a schedule A, B, D, E, F, or H? So flip in the top left corner, look at those corners. If you had any of those, say yes. If you have a schedule C, what is the net profit? Schedule C, line 31. If you didn't have a schedule C, put 0. Then we're catching up to most of us, where it asks about amount of college grants, scholarships, or AmeriCorps benefits. If you, the parent, either parent in the household, if you have 2, were in college last year, you would put whatever you received in taxable grants, scholarships, AmeriCorps benefits. But if you were not in college last year, you're going to put 0. If you earned income outside of America last year, go to your schedule 1, find the number in line 8D and put that here. But if you did not earn money outside of America last year, you will put 0 and then continue. Now, for some of you, it's going to ask about assets, and for some of you, it's not. Remember, based on earlier questions, it's dynamic. So if it skips this page, just fast forward me until I catch up to wherever you are. For the rest of us, if you received child support in the tax year 2024, you're going to put the total amount that you received, whether it was paid through a system or paid to you directly, the total amount that you received, not what you were owed, just what you received. So if you received less than you were owed, you only have to put what you received. If you received more than you were owed because you were getting paid for last year plus arrears for prior years getting caught up, you have to put the total amount you received in the tax year 2024. But if you received no child support, leave this at 0 and scroll down. Let's talk about parent assets. For all parents in the household, we're going to total the liquid money. That is checking accounts, savings accounts, money hidden under the mattress or in the cookie jar. That includes your Venmo, your PayPal, your Cash App, your FanDuel account. That includes your high yield savings account, your settlement account of money that's not reinvested. All of that is going to get totaled up right here. If it's not in one of the things I just listed, don't put it here. If you have a joint account with your child, that's your money, put it here. If you have a joint account with your parent, the grandparent of the student, that gets mucky. Whose money is it? Try to answer as truthfully as you can about how many of those dollars belong to you. Put that number here. Pause me if you need to. I'm going to move on. The next is about investments. So let's talk about it. We are not going to count your retirement. So don't worry about your IRA, your 401k, your 403b, SEP, KEO, age-restricted annuity, whole life insurance, pensions. None of that stuff counts at all. Okay? We are going to count any non-retirement stocks, bonds, CDs, money market accounts, ETFs, cryptocurrencies, mutual funds, commodities, all of that stuff is going to count here. So please total all of that up. You'll also have to include this student's 529 plan. So if you have a 529 plan for this student, it says your name, FBO, for the benefit of your student's name. That's your investment for their benefit. You're going to include that here, but just for this student. So if they have younger siblings, you're not going to count those younger siblings' 529 plans or Coverdale's or Sunshine, whatever some states in the South have, but you're only going to count for this student college savings in an official college savings account. You are not going to count your primary home. Don't worry about that. But if you have other real estate investment, whether that's land, vacation home, a rental property, an emotional support strip mall. If you own property, what is your equity in it? So what's it worth today if you were to sell it? Minus any liabilities you have on it, like a mortgage. And if you have partners in this, times your percent share of it. That's your equity in real estate. Now, if you own a business and the business owns the real estate and the business has fewer than 100 employees, we're not going to have to count it at all. But certainly if the business owns the real estate, we're not going to count it here. This is just your personal investments, not your business investments. Okay? So total all of those. Hopefully I've covered everything. I'm not, live for you to ask me live questions. But pause me if you need to take some time to total all of that up. Put that number right here. I'll say it one more time. Not your home, not your retirement, not your businesses. Any other equity in real estate, stocks, bonds, CDs, money market accounts, ETFs, cryptocurrency, mutual funds, commodities, and this student's college savings in an official college investment account. That's what's going to get totaled here. Finally, if you have a business with more than 100 employees, what is your equity in the value of it? If you have an investment farm, what is your equity in the value of it? So again, what's it worth minus what do you owe times your percent. You'll total that right here. If you don't have either of those, you must put 0 here. You can't leave anything blank. Then you can click continue, and we're almost done. If you put that you're married or remarried or unmarried but living together, it's going to ask the age of the older parent. So they want the date of birth, month, day, and year. If you put single, never married, if you put widowed, divorced, separated, it's going to skip this question. Either way, it's going to bring us next to the bikes. Remember, guys, bikes and balloons. That's what we love. So here we are at the bikes. If everything is good, you can click continue at the bottom. If you're not ready to sign today because you weren't quite sure of some of those assets and you have to go back and check things, when you come back later, you're going to log in studentaid.gov to your account, the parent account. You're going to go to the 2627 FAFSA in your dashboard. Scroll down till you see it. You're going to click the yellow button, provide signature, and it's going to bring you to this page. And then you can click any of these chevrons, and it'll give you the list of all of the questions, and each question is a link. You can click the link and it will bring you back to that section. You can make any changes that you need. Okay. All right. If we're good to go, let's go ahead and click continue. If we are confident in our answers to the best of your knowledge, you can check the box and you can sign. And when you do, you get back to the balloons. Oh, it has my wife's name on it. That's okay. She's my partner here at Solution Prep, but I did gray out the data release number, which is our place in line. And I did gray out the SAI, the Student Aid Index, which is how much the government thinks you can afford for a year of college. Now, you may not receive those two numbers today. Those may take 1 to 3 days for everything to process. You may get those numbers in that email, but you will see the completion date, and that is also saving your place in line. Now, that is step 4 of 5. And for those of you who don't live in New Jersey, this is as far as we're going to go today. But for those of you who do live in New Jersey, we have one more step to do. Please turn to a new URL. Go to HESA, HESAA.org, O-R-G. Look in the top left corner of my screen, HESAA. That's the Higher Education Student Assistance Authority. That's New Jersey's financial aid website. The little bar on top banner may be a little bit different for you than it is for me. I took a screenshot back in October. It's now the future. But once you get to this website, we're going to create your students' NJFAMS, New Jersey Financial Aid Management System, NJFAMS account. The number one reason New Jersey students don't get New Jersey money is they never created an account. We're going to create that account today. That way, once your student does get accepted to colleges, does receive award letters, they can log in here to see if they also got money from the state, because students who don't have an account don't know they got money. So, on the right-hand side, we're going to click Login. Then on the left-hand side, we're going to click here to log in. It's not super intuitive. Then, because we are new to NJFAMS, we're going to click here to create your student account and login credentials. Then you're going to get to this screen. You're going to enter the student's information, create a student user account. Where it says choose one, you're going to choose Social Security number. And you can use the student's information. You can use the student's email address. You can use the student's same username and same password as before, as long as it contains an uppercase, a lowercase, a number, and a special character. This way, your student has one set of login credentials, and you don't need to, write down, oh, but for this website, it's different. So take your time, fill this out. When you're done, you can click the yellow button at the bottom. I'm going to keep moving. Pause me if you need to. Click Create Login. And it's going to bring us to the page with the green check and the red box. It's going to send your student an email. And your student should log into their email, and they can do it today, tomorrow, next week, doesn't matter when. And they're going to click this link. And once they click this link, it's going to bring them to this screen, User Activation, user activated successfully. They can log in, but there isn't a whole lot for them to do here. For the most part, we've just finished step 5 of 5. But wait, there may be more. First of all, some schools, 5%, require the CSS profile over and above the FAFSA. I don't have a video walkthrough for that because it is too dynamic. You may have thought today I had some weird screens up that were different from yours until I caught up to you. This is bonkers. So there's no way for me to make a good video for it. I'm sorry. But CSS profile is put together by the College Board. That's the same company that makes the SATs and the PSATs and the APs. So your student already has a login on this website. And if you Google CSS profile schools, you should find this list. And if your student has colleges on this list that require the CSS profile for domestic students, and you would like to reduce the price of college, your next stop after this will be completing a CSS profile. It is like the FAFSA on steroids. It will not let you merge your taxes. It will ask you questions about your home. It will ask you questions about any size of business. It will ask you about your retirement. It will ask you very rude questions. If you are confident filling this out yourself, go ahead. If you will need help, you can give us a call at 732-556 8220 and schedule an appointment either with me or with our accountant to sit down with you and fill this out from beginning to end, as well as any school-specific financial aid requirements. For instance, Princeton has their own financial aid application. Lehigh makes you upload your documents directly to their website. So we can help with those things if you need it over and above this free FAFSA support session, this FAFSA walkthrough. If you have no colleges on this list that your student's applying to, you don't need to do the CSS profile at all. What a relief. But if you do, you should. And you may even need to upload your documents at the end. Things like your 1040, your W-2s, your 1099s for the parents, maybe the students as well. So this can take a good amount of time. When should you do it? I don't know, maybe break for lunch and then get right to it because you already have your documents out. You're already in the mode. Don't put it off. Just get it done. Colleges have financial aid deadlines. Some of them are November 1st, November 15th, December 1st, December 15th, January 1st. You see the pattern? So find out from your colleges when everything has to be done by and make sure to get it done. I've got a YouTube channel. Some of you guys are already here right now. In fact, I'm recording this for my YouTube channel. So, hey, you're here. Check out other videos. Most of them are a lot shorter than this. I do long walkthroughs every now and again, but most videos are maybe 1 to 5 minutes about, topics related to college funding and college applications and college selection and application essays and SATs and ACTs and all sorts of things like that. Guys, I hope you got a lot of good information today. I hope you were able to successfully submit your FAFSA. If you have questions, you can put them in the comments. You can, of course, connect with us. We are located in Little Silver, Wall Township, East Brunswick, and Toms River. Our 4 centers cater to students in Central Jersey. We also meet with students online. So if your student does need help preparing for the SAT or ACT or needs college admission support, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to help.